Hello, I'm Karen Solheim. Welcome to Food and Fitness. I've had issues with my weight since I was a teenager, but in the last year I've lost 45 pounds. I still have 25 pounds to go, but tonight I'd like to show you my system. I've arranged my tips into 4 fit kits. The first one is log and plan. The second one is what to drink. The third one is what to eat. And the fourth one is how to move. So let's get started. The first fit kit, plan and log. It's really important to do this, and that's really the starting point of any diet and exercise program. The first thing that I did was to go to the doctor, get a doctor's note. And people wonder about that. Why go to the doctor? I'm perfectly healthy. I'm capable of losing weight on my own. But there are a lot of reasons for getting that doctor's note. One reason is because you may need to adjust the food and exercise that you use for any kind of a medical condition that you have. And you might not be aware of the medical condition until you get the checkup. Another reason is because you want to set a reasonable interim and final goal for your weight, and a doctor can help you do that. Another reason is because you want to get a baseline. So when you start your program, there's a reason you're starting your program. You're probably overweight, maybe your cholesterol is high, your blood pressure. Get those numbers. Get a cholesterol panel. Find out if you have your good cholesterol high enough and your bad cholesterol low enough. Find out if you have a pre-diabetes condition like I did. You might find that your blood pressure is high, and a good diet and exercise program can bring your blood pressure down. Another reason is because it might be some cost savings to you also if you get a doctor's note. There might be some costs for your diet program or your exercise program that could be tax deductible. You could talk to your tax advisor about that. If you have a flex spending account, sometimes the costs of your weight reduction program might be able to be paid for through that program. So you could save money that way. Another reason is that when you're on a diet and you're saying no to people who are offering you food, it's a great way to deal with those saboteurs. You can say, sorry, I can't, doctor's orders. So get the doctor's note first off. The second thing that I always do as part of my system is every single week I plan my menus for the week, every single week. So I take out my notebook and I write down what am I going to eat that week. And I put down 6 of them, six dinners, and then I add a number 7 for clean out the fridge, meaning whatever's left over gets used up on that last night. Sometimes we go out for dinner instead. So what I do is I have collected a lot of low carb and diet cookbooks. I like the ones that have lots of pictures. So one like this that has basically a picture for every meal that you might be making. And then you want to make sure that it also has nutrition information. So it should list the carbs, it should list the fiber, and it should list the calories as a minimum. The reason you want to know the fiber is because when you're counting your carbs, a carbohydrate is one type of a food. Your calories can come from protein, fat, or carbohydrate. And carbohydrates, generally they're grains or they're vegetables or fruits or sugars. Those are all types of carbohydrates. But when you're counting your carbohydrates, you can subtract any of the calories that come from fiber, any of the carbohydrates that come from fiber. So it's important to have that in your cookbook. So when I'm planning my week's menus, I go through my cookbook, pick out which one I'm going to use that week, and I actually go in and I write down the name of the food, the page number that it's on, and basically what it is. And then I keep this on my counter or in the drawer right underneath my counter, so with the list of menus, so that when I get home from work, I'm not really in the mood to try to think about what I'm going to make for dinner. Instead, I can just pick one from this list, and then I'm all set. So the other part of the planning that's really important is while you're writing down these menus and you're using your cookbook, you can make a grocery list. So I make a grocery list that includes everything that I need for all 6 of those dinners that I'm making. And I divide them up according to the sections of the grocery store. Now, if you do this right, you're going to find that almost all of the food that you're going to get is in the produce area. And we'll go into that a little more later. But you're also going to be getting some lean meats and protein, maybe some low-fat dairy or non-fat dairy, and then there might be some packaged or canned foods that you're going to be getting. For me, a common grocery list would include chicken breasts, salmon fillets, maybe some sirloin steak. Under the dairy, I often have Greek yogurt and kefir. And then under produce, there's where I really go to town. I put down everything that I can think of that I might want to have in a salad or in a scramble. And then I put down all the things that are listed in the menus. So I have everything that I need, and I take this to the grocery store and I'm all set. The other thing that's really important is logging. Now, I use a logbook that looks like this. I'm going to show this to you. And this is how I do it. I put down the date. I put down what I weighed that morning. And I always weigh myself every single morning right after I get up. And I record it in my diary. And then I start writing down every single thing that I eat all day long. Sometimes I'll put down the calories if I'm being very careful. And then I write down the activity that I do that day. Now, another thing that I found is really helpful is to write down what did I weigh last month at the very bottom of the page, and what did I weigh last week. And that's a really good encouragement. Okay, so that is the Fit Kit number 1, logging and planning. Okay, let's take a look at Fit Kit number 2, what to drink. First thing that I did was ditch the soda. I know it's hard for some people, but even if it's diet soda, it can cause you to have sugar cravings. So I do not drink any soda at all, not unsweetened soda, not diet soda, nothing that is carbonated and that has artificial sweeteners or any kind of sugar in it. I also ditched all the sweeteners. None of the brown stuff, none of the yellow stuff, none of the pink stuff, and none of the blue stuff. No sweeteners at all. Now I know this is kind of hard, so let me just tell you how I did it. What worked for me was dropping back to 1 sweetener packet per day and 1 packet of sugar per day, or 1 teaspoon of sugar. And then after I got used to that, I dropped back to only 1 sugar or artificial sweetener per day. And after I was used to that, then I just cut that in half, so it was only half a packet. Gradually, I don't drink any artificially sweetened beverages anymore. So I know it can be done, and this is how I did it. So what do you drink instead? Of course, you can drink water, but what I found works really well is green tea. There have been so many studies that have said that green tea can help your metabolism be increased in such a way that you'll lose weight faster. And I have found that to be true for myself. You don't have to just drink only green tea, though. You can mix it. So if you like the flavor of herbal tea, drink some tea that has green tea and then mix it up with 1 packet of the herbal tea. You can also use white tea, oolong tea, even black tea. But mostly what I drink is the green tea. So this is how I do it. I do this every single day at work. I'd get a mug that's nice and big like this one. And I have this thing that has a strainer on the bottom. You can get these in any kind of a kitchen store. There's a popular tea shop that sells them also. And then I open up my tea packet, pick one that I can open up, and I actually empty the tea into the container. And the reason I do that is because I want all of the tea to get in there, and I want the best possible flavor from it. And to me, that means that the water has to get mixed up pretty well with it. So I put 2 flavors of tea. And this is my favorite. I like the the jasmine green tea. It includes jasmine flowers, so there's a really nice fragrance too. And then I like a berry flavor also. Makes a great iced tea. Then I take that, make my tea. And at my work we have a hot water dispenser that's available all the time. You might want to use a teapot, but any way you do it works just fine. Make your tea first. Let that tea sit for 5 minutes or so. And then you put ice into the mug while that's steeping. And I fill it right up to the top with the ice because I want to drink my iced tea right away and it's got to be cold. Okay, so let's just pretend that this has sat for 5 minutes or so. Then I just put it right on top and the tea goes right into the mug. And I watch till it gets to the top and stop. And then I fasten this on. And then I'm set for the morning. This is about, I think, 32 ounces or so. When I finish this, I go back to the break room and make myself some more iced tea and fill it right back up. This is really good. It's got a fruit flavor, but it also has a really nice fragrance to it too. Now another way to get your sweetener, if you're having a hard time getting rid of the sugar and the artificial sweeteners, is something like this. This is agave nectar. Agave nectar is much sweeter than honey or sugar, so you don't have to use as much of it. And it's a good way to just put in just as much as you want to sweeten up your iced tea or whatever you're drinking without putting in a lot of sugar. I also experimented with honey, but I found that this is actually a little bit better. The teas that I like to use, I keep in my desk, and I also keep some at home. So I have teas everywhere. It's amazing how many different varieties of teas there are. I also tend to like the teas that have more of a leaf to it instead of looking like powder. I think it has a better flavor and less bitter. So you might want to experiment with the different kinds of teas and see what you like. The other good thing about drinking iced tea is that no matter what restaurant you go to, pretty much all of them have unsweetened iced tea available. So you don't have to just say just water all the time. Because when you go to a restaurant, my habit was always to order a Diet Coke. And I don't do that anymore. So I always ask, do you have unsweetened iced tea? And almost all the time they do. You want to be careful though, because sweet tea is really popular and a lot of the restaurants only offer the sweet tea. You don't want that. One more thing, lemon. If you add lemon to your tea, it actually increases the amount of antioxidants that your body can make use of. I read that somewhere and it seems like it makes sense. Try it, maybe it'll help you a little bit. It also helps with the flavor. But you want to use a real lemon and not any kind of artificial flavor for the lemon. Now, for the as far as the ice is concerned, at work we have an ice dispenser. At home, of course, we have our ice dispenser in our refrigerator. If you have trouble finding ice, you can, bring some ice with you to work and keep it in a thermos like this. So you have a thermos of ice water to use for your iced tea. So that is Fit Kit number 2, what to drink. Okay, let's talk about Fit Kit number 3, what to eat. This is the fun part, right? So what I tend to say as your basis of your meal should be 2 cups of leafy green vegetables. You can use this in any kind of a meal. And of course, first thing you think of is a salad, but leafy green vegetables are also good in a scramble, in a smoothie, and in a stir fry. So let's start with a salad, and then we'll talk about how you can do all of these other things as well. So first of all, I'm taking my leafy green vegetables and I'm dumping it in. I'm going to leave some room there for some of the other good stuff we're going to put in. This particular one has baby spinach in it, it has romaine, it has spring mix, kale, lots of good stuff in here. And I always try to pick leafy green vegetables besides like iceberg lettuce. To tell you the truth, I don't consider iceberg lettuce a vegetable. That's just me though. Here's something else that adds some crunch, some jicama. Jicama is kind of sweet and crunchy. Adds some extra fiber too. I like to add carrots. And I use just to use a potato peeler and make little shavings of them so that it gets mixed up with the vegetables really well. And one of the things that I think are important for any meal is to make it look good. So you want it to be colorful and delicious as well as healthy. Okay, and this one has got cherry tomatoes in it. Usually what I do is with the cherry tomatoes is I get the plum or the grape tomatoes and I cut them in half so that more of the flavor gets mixed into the salad or the scramble. So we're just going to put some of that in there. And then another thing you might not think of for salads is zucchini. If you cut them up very thin and cut the zucchini in half, it's very quick. Adds some more flavor to it. Okay. And then another thing you might not think of for a salad, but you see in a lot of the really good restaurants, is berries. Berries, of all of the different kinds of fruit, they're the lowest in carb in the glycemic index. So if you're adding some fruit to your diet, you want to be sure to start with berries and melons, but berries especially. Great antioxidants, so good for you. So I'm going to add some blueberries in here. Yum. And then finally, the other kind of berries that I really like to add to salad is strawberries. So I'm going to add some strawberries to this one. Now, the other thing that is another part of your low-carb diet is lean protein. What I have here is turkey breast. Now, when you buy your turkey breast, you have to be very careful because a lot of times when they're preparing the turkey breast for you, they add a lot of nitrates to it. That's not healthy for you. They might add sugar syrup in with the turkey. So if it says honey roasted, that's not the one you want. This one is oven roasted. So this one doesn't have a lot of the additives added to it. Another good thing is to add to your salads, hard-boiled eggs. These actually I bought already hard-boiled, so they're super fast, and I don't have to peel them. Okay, and then what are you going to put on top of your salad? You can spoil a really good salad by dumping a whole bunch of high-fat or sugary dressing on top of it. So here are some ideas for you. There are a lot of dressings that are pretty low carb. So check the back, look at the labels, see what the carb count is on it. This one's 7 carbs per serving. That's a little bit higher than I'd like. I like to shoot for 3 to 5 carbs per serving, but you don't have to put a whole lot on either. Another trick with dressing is instead of dumping the dressing on top of the salad, you can put it in a little container next to your plate and just dip the tines of your fork into the dressing, and in that way you get the flavor, but you don't have it all sopping up all over the salad, getting it all soggy. Another good way to add flavor to your salad without adding a lot of carbs is different kinds of vinegar. Now this one is a pomegranate vinegar. Tastes really good, and I don't have to add anything besides vinegar to make it taste great. But if you are going to be adding oil, I recommend that you use olive oil because, and be sure it's extra virgin olive oil. It is really good for you, and it doesn't increase your bad cholesterol. It might increase your good cholesterol, which is a good thing. So these are some great things to add to your salad. Another thing that I tend to do is add a little bit of almonds on the top. Almonds have a lot of good protein and the healthy fats. So let's just sprinkle a little bit of that on top. So you have a great salad. Now, if it's Sunday morning and I want to make breakfast, I don't want to go out for breakfast because one of the things about watching your diet is that as soon as you go out to a restaurant, you're surrendering control of your diet. Even if you're really, really careful, you really don't know what's going on in that kitchen. What are they putting in the pan? What are the ingredients of your food? Sometimes they'll provide nutrition information, but I don't know, sometimes you can't trust it. The portions can be different. So I like to cook at home as much as possible. And it doesn't have to be, take a long time to do. Most of the dinners that I make take about half an hour from the time that I get home until the dinner's on the table. So doing things at home, cooking at home, almost all of your meals really will help your diet quite a bit. So as I was saying, Sunday morning, I want to make a scramble. Sometimes I look what's in the refrigerator and take whatever leftovers there are and cut them up and stick them in the frying pan and pour some beaten up eggs or egg substitute over it, and then I've got a scramble. It's delicious too. And I've already put in the work earlier in the week. Another way to do it is to take anything that you would normally put in a salad and put that in the scramble. It's great. You can also use the same kind of ingredients, put them in a really high-powered blender, add some maybe almond milk, and you've got a great smoothie. And the other thing that you can do with the same kinds of vegetables, maybe serve the berries on the side, but put them in a pan with some cut-up meat, add a little bit of stir-fry sauce, and you've got a stir-fry. So these are the components of a very healthy meal. All right, now let's talk about a really fun part. Fit kit number 4, move. Moving is a super important part of any kind of a fitness and weight loss plan. So let's talk about the different kinds of movement. For me, the most important part is walking. So every single day I put on my sneakers and I'm walking. I walk at least 30 minutes and I aim for 10,000 steps every day. Now how do you figure out if you've got 10,000 steps or not? Here's how you figure it out. When I was at work, they gave out these little tiny devices to all the employees that wanted them. And we had a contest to see how many teams could get 10,000 steps every single day. Our team didn't win. Well, some of the other people sloughed off a little bit, I have to say, but I got 10,000 steps almost every single day. And it really got to be a good habit for me. So at lunchtime, I would eat my lunch, but it doesn't take you an hour to eat your lunch, right? Then I would put this on, and I would go for a walk. And I wouldn't stop walking until I got to my 10,000 steps. Usually it took about 45 minutes. But if I only had half an hour, I would take half an hour, and then I would do another walk when I got home. So that worked really well. But this is really small, and I actually lost it one time. So I got this thing. There's a lot of fitness bands like this. This particular band, you just keep on all the time. And it actually tracks your sleep as well as the amount of walking that you do, your exercise. And then you can plug it into your phone, at the end of every day or whenever you think about it. This is great because this actually keeps me honest about how much sleep that I'm getting as well as how much exercise I'm getting. There are other bands that actually display the numbers of steps that you've taken or the amount of time that you've spent walking. So I really recommend some of these gadgets. They're great. Some of them actually keep track of your heart rate too, so lots of different ways to do that. The other part of the exercise program that I think is super important is exercise with strength training. Now, I just took this out as an example. This is a 3-pound weight. It's not much of a weight, but it's something to start with. But this is what I do for strength training. I joined a gym, and twice a week I go to the gym and I do 6 machines. I had a fitness trainer help me set up which machines to take, how much weight that I needed to do on each of them, and I do that twice a week. And then I started out doing just 10 repetitions of each of the exercises because, I hadn't exercised for quite a long time. So 10 repetitions, and then I went to the next machine and did 10 repetitions on that. And then gradually I started to get stronger and stronger, so it felt really easy to do those 10 repetitions. So I increased the weight and I increased the repetitions. That's the way to do it. You want to make sure that the final repetition that you do, so if you're doing it 10 times, you want the 9th and the 10th time to be difficult. And if it's not difficult, then you need to increase the weight. Okay, so after I was getting really good at doing 10 repetitions at a really good rate, I increased it so that I did 2 sets. So I did 10, and then I rested, and then I did 10 more. After a while, I increased to 3 sets. So 10, rest, 10, rest, 10 more, until the final exercise, I really start feeling it. And if I'm not feeling it, I increase the weight, like I said. Okay, so that's great for the strength training. And then after every session that I do of strength training, I do stretching. Now the place that I go to for exercise has a platform that you can use to do these stretches. You know, you've probably seen people doing the stretches where they're lifting up their foot behind them, or they're stretching like this to stretch their hamstrings. I recommend that you either go online and get like a little poster or just a list of various stretching exercises. Be sure that you're stretching both your legs, the front and the back of your legs, and your arms and your shoulders. And do those stretches every time you do a strength exercise. Okay, and then the other thing that I have recently added is core exercising. And I actually went to the physical trainer at work to talk to her about this, and she's recommended a few different exercises for me. And one of them, I was not happy when she recommended this, because it was the horror of my elementary school days, is squats. I hated squats, but my PE teacher insisted on them. So I'm not very good at squats, and I told her that. And she said, well, you'll be good at this kind of squat. She says, take the exercise ball, go to the wall, put the ball behind you, between you and the wall, and then use the ball for support. Put your feet about, shoulder width away, apart from one another, and then lean a little bit back on it, and then go down in a squat position and then back up. She said that it's important that your knees don't go past your toes. And I thought that was important because sometimes my knees hurt if I'm not careful. So if your knees are hurting when you're doing these squats, you need to reposition your feet and your knees a little bit more so that your knees don't hurt. They shouldn't hurt when you're doing squats. So there are a couple of other exercises that I thought were really fun. I saw somebody at the gym doing this one, and it just looked like fun to me, so I started doing it, and my trainer said, that's a really good one for your core. So I'm going to get down here on this mat and show you this exercise. So you take your fitness ball, and there's a couple of different ways to do this. The way that I started out with was I would put it over my head and then then reach for it with my knees. So I'm going to start that way with you. So you just put your knees up over your head, lift it up, kind of do a crunch, grab it with your knees, touch your knees to the floor, come back up, bring it over your head, and then back, and just repeat that. And another one is the crunch where you're lifting up and going to your knees. Okay. So that's Fit Kit number 4. Now, if you have questions or if you'd like to send comments to me, send it to foodandfitness2014@gmail.com. Thanks for joining us.